thank you for joining us for another session of Exploration Tech. My name is Jared Hackbart. I'm the Director of Sales and Marketing here at Brilliance, and we have a really fun topic to be hitting on today. Someone that we've had the pleasure of working with and have admired from a distance at times, a marketer that comes with a lot of experience, and looking forward to sharing that with all of you here today. Lori, please go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yes, well, I am extremely excited about this conversation. So I started Brilliance a little more than 20 years ago. My background is in computer electrical engineering. I went to school at Purdue and ended up through an internship at NASA Johnson Space Center, where I eventually worked as a flight controller for the Space Shuttle program. It was a ton of fun. I ended up meeting my husband there. He also was an engineer at Purdue and also worked as a flight controller at NASA. And he eventually went to work for Rockwell Automation, which we ended up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin through a promotion that he had here to Rockwell's headquarters. And so in 1998, I was trying to figure out what could be as cool as space. And in 98, the web was kind of in its infancy, and it sounded like fun to start a web development company. And so that's what I did. And we ended up developing a niche and working with manufacturers and distributors and implementing digital commerce solutions, and have grown. And this year we made the Inc. 5000 list, which is super exciting. And as a part of that growth journey, we have had the opportunity to connect with Ted Fay through a partnership that we have with Episerver in terms of working with clients on Episerver. Ted worked at a firm that also was on Episerver, and we connected there and just was so impressed with his expertise when it comes to digital marketing, and really excited about the conversation that we're having here today, as organizations across the board that we talk to are really interested in looking at how they do more with their existing teams in terms of digital. So Ted, I'd love for you to introduce yourself.
Thanks, Lori, and thanks, Jared. Thanks for arranging this today. Again, I'm Ted Fay. I've been in the digital marketing space now on and off since, oh my gosh, I was talking to a guy yesterday, and we were sharing stories about submitting digital site maps and indexes to Excite and Alta Vista and Yahoo, and wondering what this Google thing was going to mean for us. So it's been a while, and I've been in and out of the space. But the past 10 years, I've been primarily working with companies, taking them through digital transformations, going from kind of modest or maybe scattered or siloed digital marketing activities, and really rebuilding them and focusing on how can we use this technology to grow the business, to streamline operations, and to meet the customer's needs. And I'm particularly excited about today's conversation because the challenge that all of us, if you're on this call or if you're in digital marketing, one of the challenges often is how do you build a team, right? How do you create this group of people, the resources that you're going to use to transform this organization or to grow it based on this technology. And so I think it's a conversation that's really important. One part of it, and then the part we'll focus on today, I think, is taking people who might not already be in that space, as Lori wasn't in the web when she went from, being we'll call her today's rocket scientist, but she went from, being a flight controller to running web development. I moved from sales into product marketing, and then did the web, and then moved on through there. There's opportunities like that, and there's people like that we'll look to talk about how we can identify them and bring them in to support your digital marketing efforts. So thanks to Lori and Jared for arranging this. This is a great series. I'd recommend anybody just kind of staying in touch with it, because it provides some nice content for just kind of aligning your own thinking of what's going on out there in the marketplace.
Ted, what does it mean to build a digital marketing team?
I think we all struggle with it a little bit, but let me turn it back to you folks. You see probably more clients than I've ever worked with or work in on a daily basis. What do you see that makes for a strong digital marketing team when you're trying to implement a digital marketing technology solution? Works, and maybe what are the gaps that you see a lot?
Yeah. It's a great question. Because we work with a fair amount of manufacturers and distributors who digital is a new a new channel for them. You know, they've built their business on traditional sales teams, and so to your point, look, what does it look like for them to have a team that has skills in this space? You know, one of the things that I think makes for a really great team that we're partnering with is a recognition of like what all there is to learn, and like coming to conversations with our team with curiosity, with some flexibility, even with a sense of humility. You know, sometimes we're working with marketers who have a large amount of experience in print or trade shows or kind of other forms of marketing. And so it helps for there to be some recognition of what there is to learn, because I think digital is a space that's always changing. So there's always a lot to learn here. Jared, what do you think?
I'll go the gap side and say that when we are identifying gaps within our customers and their organizations, it's either one extreme or the other. I feel they don't have the right skill sets in place to support their digital marketing growth, or B, they have too many conflicting skill sets, and then that becomes a problem in itself, managing who's responsible for what and taking the right information and making the right necessary steps to move forward. Ted?
You know, that's great points. I think that yours particularly, Jared, is both of those, right? Sometimes you get the lack of a clear vision or the lack of a clear direction. And so it's the, you know, IT needs this and the SEO team needs this and the brand team needs this. And I think agencies and ultimately the projects can really get caught in trying to serve all those masters. So having a real clear direction is really important. Is there a strategy, right? Where are we trying to take this, and where are we trying to go with it? That's something that with the places I've worked and also the companies I've worked with over the past several months is often what they're looking for is someone to come in and say, I know I need to be digital, and I've got all these islands of needs and islands of answers, but I don't know how to stitch it all together and deliver something. And that's what we're trying to do.
Customers' experience, like their maturity with digital marketing, will play a significant role in the success of a project.
It does, and I think the folks at Smart Insights, at smartinsights.com and other places have talked about the digital maturity curve, and a starting point if you're trying to consider how you're staffing or what you're trying to do is really understanding where you sit, right? Does your company have a website and that's it, or are you, do you have a highly engaged data analytics program that supports, deep personalization of all the web experiences, and you have, email time, send time optimization in place, and you're segmenting people very, very finely. And you can exist anywhere on that curve, and you're going to have needs anywhere on there. But the less mature you are, the more basic you have to start thinking about some of the resources you need to stand up your digital marketing team.
We talked about the wide breadth of skills that exist in digital marketing, and Ted, you referenced the idea of the T-shaped marketer. So can you explain what that is and talk with us about the different skills that are required for digital marketing?
Sure. So the concept of T-shaped marketer, digital marketer, has been around for a number of years, and the idea is that, especially in a lot of companies, you can't afford to have experts in every single area. Also, if you think about the basics of someone who's going to send out an email, they need to know email technology. They need to be able to pull a list, so they need to have some database query skills. If they're going to tweak that email, they might need some basic graphic skills. They need to understand some marketing aspects of what's the call to action and how am I going to measure this. They need some analytics capabilities. So to be a successful digital marketer, you need this blend of, I need to understand what writing means. I need to understand about graphics. Certainly, almost everybody needs some foundation in data, because that's what makes digital marketing so exciting, because you can measure just about everything people can do.
Yeah.
You can't be afraid of technology. You need all of these. But as you build out a team, you typically then do, with the idea of calling it T-shape, is you need this breadth of things going across. But then you need people that are very deep in one area. So you might have an SEO person that really can dial in and say, hey, this is how the schema on the page needs to be, and this is how our title tags need to be written, and this is what the metadata needs to say, and I'll check and see and they'll measure our on-page conversion rates, and I'll measure how we're doing in ranking. But they also need to be able to communicate that same SEO activity, and everyone needs to understand it, from web development to design to the people writing the copy for the content pages. So there's a mix of skills that needs to go across the organization and across the people, but you do need some people that go deep in particular areas. But one of the most foundational ones is a real good deep data experience. They really need to understand or want to learn more about how to use data to make decisions.
Great digital marketers have this blend, to your point. Like, there is this aspect of really breadth of skills, and like, there are things that are almost in some sense very technical, and also skills that are more like creatively oriented, and really having people that have enough insight into that breadth and yet can go deep is so important. How does a company who doesn't have all of those people or all of those skill sets on their team, how do they build that?
That's a great question, and one thing I'd like to emphasize about that, you kind of hinted around it, is this idea of building a team and getting that balance of capabilities, right? You want to get that balance of here's somebody who's really creative, but they're not great in data analysis. Then I need some data analysis skills to supplement. So you want to look at what you have already as a starting point. And there's really three ways. One is you can outsource it all. Rand Fishkin at Spark Toro did a great blog just last week and talked about outsource everything, right? And he makes a compelling argument for saying, I need analytics, outsource it. I need web development, outsource it. I need someone to do graphics design, outsource it. Just outsource everything. And there's validity to that, in that you can leverage skills, you can leverage experience, you get larger teams for less money because you get more people working on it. But I'm challenged with that as a long-term solution, because what does that mean for your organization? What's your reason for existence? What are you building? But that's certainly, outsourcing to agencies is certainly an important part of this. And you might leave some activities, paid search, SEO, copywriting, photography, web development. You might leave that at an agency forever. But certainly get started, look to those agencies to help you out. The next is hiring. And you can certainly look around your local area, or even now today, particularly as people become more comfortable with remote working, you can hire someone from anywhere to help you with your digital marketing needs. That's expensive. It takes time, and to a certain extent, it's risky. The person might have the skills, but then it fit in your organization. They may have misrepresented their skills, or you may have under-evaluated what you actually needed, and their flexibility to move within there isn't capable. But that's another part of it. And the third part, and one that I think it's underrated, and one that I've been successful in developing in a number of firms over time, and I'm working with people on today, is how do you identify internal talent that already exists inside the organization, people that know your company, the people that you know their work ethic, you know their flexibility, you know how they think. How do you identify internal talent and bring them into digital marketing and make them successful digital marketers? Because that's a real nice opportunity, particularly if you think about a career development perspective. Most companies are focusing on digital. They're trying to reach out to their customers. They're trying to reach out to new customers. They're trying to talk to the world about digital. And that's a growth area in a lot of companies. And to look inside your company and say, I want to get some of my best people and bring them into this growth area, great career development. And it sends a really nice message inside an organization that we want to develop people versus just hiring in the new skill every time.
Digital transformation is, in some sense, can be a bit of a buzzword, but the reality is that digital is more than your website. You know, it's really a cultural change for organizations to think about all the ways that they can embrace digital to make their customers' lives easier. And I think one of the benefits to developing your internal team to have these skills is that you create more, you provide more opportunities for innovation as your internal team is kind of thinking in this way. It enables people to come up with new ideas when they already are familiar with your products or a part of your existing team. So, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I love everything you said there. The last point speaks to me uh, even more so when I look at this event that we do, this Exploration Tech. We're a small business, and while we could go and find a firm to probably make this even more produced and a little bit better, we decided to do it all internally, and we identified people within our organization that we thought had the skill sets and the interest to help make it better, and it's gone great. We reference Rand Fishkin, listening to some additional resources out there to continue to improve our team. So very, very cool stuff.
Yeah, and mining that internal talent to build a successful digital marketer can mean a lot to people's career. So the one story that I can certainly relate is a gentleman who was writing copy for catalogs and at one organization, and we identified him as I wouldn't put him as high potential. We didn't filter people that way. He was just an eager young man who wanted to build his career, and we moved him in and gave him an email marketing role. Right, and put him in charge of writing copy for email, and then he wound up running the email program. And now he's a full-fledged digital marketer, working for agencies, helping small businesses do digital marketing online and paid search and doing all sorts of things that 4 years ago that wasn't on his list. Right, that wasn't even his career ambition, and now it's what he wakes up and thinks about every day, all day long. It's gratifying as someone who's helped them a little bit on that journey, but it's the opportunity that's out there. People don't, walk into the world being digital marketers.
So what characteristics, traits are crucial when you're looking to consider internal talent?
So it's a couple of things. Some of them that Lori kind of hinted at earlier. Most of the people you'll be looking at internally aren't obviously day one, they're not digital marketers to start, and they might not even be in the marketing department at all. As I kind of emphasized earlier, they absolutely need to be oriented toward data. They just have to, they can't think, oh, this is the right thing to do. You want people who think about, I'm going to measure this, right? If I'm going to do it, I'm going to measure it. So people that have that orientation are a nice part. Another is they have to be oriented toward the customer. The interesting thing about digital is here's something where you can suddenly touch hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people a day, a week, a month with what you do. And you have to be able to understand and have some empathy for the customer and what they're thinking about. And so people that can put the brain on and not, here's what I want to communicate to the customer, but how is that person on the other side going to react to it? That's going to be important in their decision making. Everything from what you write on the page to, should I send that email? Should I put up that social media post? Right? To reference an earlier conversation. Should I, when do I send it? What's the picture I should put there? It's not what I want to communicate, it's what's that person ready to receive. So they should be able to be empathetic toward the customer and they understand that customer's journey through the purchase path, right? What are the decisions they're going to go for? This is why sometimes it's great to get a really seasoned salesperson into these roles, because they're going to understand the questions these people ask and the things they struggle with before they make the decision to commit to your company's product or services. They can articulate that and they understand it. And they've had to deal with it in selling the product, but they've talked to all these people. They know their stories. They can bring them into your marketing activities. Another one is you need people who have some kind of an understanding of what process means. If I do this, this is what happens. Right? If you think about the flow of digital marketing, right? If I push the button in the PIM system to publish content to my website, well, suddenly now that might also publish it to show up on Amazon's website and on Walmart's website and on my dealer's website. What happens when I do that? Just having kind of a comprehension that actions have reactions and downstream actions is important. Being able to flow that out in your brain, or at least be able to raise your hand and go, I'm not sure I should do this, is really important. They don't have to be technical per se, but they have to be enthusiastic about being able to use technology. Finding those people who jump in and someone who's using your ERP system in new ways and taught themselves new ways to do it, or came back and used Excel to do something in a different way, or created an amazing presentation in PowerPoint or some other presentation software, not because they were taught, but they took the initiative to use technology to do a better job. A really interesting group of people to look at. Kind of the harder ones to kind of document is people that are intellectually curious, people that are ask questions, want to try new things, want to dip into new things. That's an orientation. It's not a skill. People are, and you don't, in digital marketing particularly, it's so fast changing. There's so many aspects to it. You have to be really comfortable with ambiguity. And that's something you see in a lot of job titles and posts. And, hey, well, you need to be comfortable with it. But this is really true. There aren't answers. You might know, go research it and come back, find out. And ultimately, they have to know that, and you, as a manager or as a team builder, have to understand that you never become a digital marketer. It's something you're always learning on. You're always learning more about. You have to have that curiosity, but you have to know that tomorrow there's going to be a new technology, a new process. The things that were really important last year aren't important anymore, and now the ground has shifted. So the process of always becoming better is going to be really, really, really important.
We've definitely seen, to your point, Ted, it's an ongoing process, right? We're all always learning on this journey. And so finding people that have that orientation, are curious, and have that recognition that like there's not necessarily a right answer, but like we're gonna learn as a part of the process. When you're working to identify those people, are there some real basics that you should make sure that they have that are kind of fundamental to them being successful?
So yeah, there are some basic kind of skills. We talked about the analysis, right? Can they use Excel? They don't need to be able to do scripts inside of it and run macros, but they need to be able to understand how to use Excel and analyze data a little bit. They have some basic writing skills. Be able to write a sentence, be able to communicate successfully. You need at least one person, if not most of the people that are strong in project management. All digital marketing is project management, whether it be a campaign or a website launch or an update or an A/B test. How am I going to start it? How am I going to finish it? Who's going to be responsible for all these things? Because everything winds up becoming so multi-layered. You need someone who can write out a plan and go, this is how long it's going to take. This is all the people it's going to impact. That's important. And you need at least one or two people with basic graphic skills and a graphics eye. Not talking about someone who can kind of go into Photoshop and Illustrator and create a new banner, but someone that can use the tools that email editors and content management systems give them to create a page and make it look good. Personally, that's one area where I know it looks good when it's done, but I can do it all day long and not get the result I want. So that's one that I have to look for somebody else to help me with. Those are some of the important basic skills they need.
Are there some skills you would be less likely to find internally?
So I think there's a couple. I think the obvious ones are the kind of the certification type ones, the ones that require a lot of training. Things like, you're not going to trip over a full stack developer inside your organization, or someone else knows how to do front end work. Same true, just the front end stuff. People who do UI and UX development is often not there. And even other graphic designers, right? You might have them inside the organization, but ones that are really, really skilled in graphics design, then you're taking that skill and just applying it in a different department. You're not going to find somebody in customer service often that can do graphics design. So there's some real kind of very technical or very specialized skills that you'll have to hire for, or just pick someone and move them, but you won't be able to develop them off the ground, I don't think.
To your point, Ted, there are other roles that you can develop people into digital marketing. And so like as you look for people internally who may not already, who aren't already digital marketers, where are the places you're looking in your organization to find them?
There's a number of places, right? So keep an open mind about any place, but IT leaning areas like project managers, database managers, people who are generally involved in broad areas of technology in the IT organization can certainly be brought in and help out. You can also look for people writing, right? Some people doing copywriting, whether it be in corporate communications or PR, or they're doing catalog copy. or they're working in customer service, writing notes and emails to customers. You can often find the people that are good communicators inside the organization and can write well. They can help you out a lot in the area. On the graphic side, if you do need some assistance in graphics, sometimes people within a graphics department or a creative department are ready to kind of pick up and at least provide some assistance there. And on the broad-based side, they can be in engineering, they've done product development, they can be in product marketing or other marketing skills. They could be in finance, and you want to look at someone in finance who can help you with any analytics, but maybe can suddenly move into kind of paid search types activities and slowly move into digital marketing that way. You look around the organization for different people who you think you can promote and help in this important area inside the organization.
So as you start to identify these people, how do you expose them to digital marketing?
One of the great ways is to find special projects, right? So you're doing from the project management side, you can do a project manager and have them help in or lean in on developing a project plan. Go to the finance team and say, hey, we need someone to do an analysis of our media spend over the past year, and to do it broad-based and look at everything, and help educate them and give them the resource to educate them, but help them kind of dip their toe in and see where there's interest, and you can start to build those people out. Go to a product marketer and say, you know something, we're going to put you responsible not just for delivering us the product, but we're going to make you responsible for your product's social media content and the web page and the syndicated content that goes out and the search optimization. We're going to give you everything for that, and own that, and see if they can blossom outside their product. And you'll find that product marketers are passionate about making sure their products are successful. They'll quickly learn all of those things. And then you can say, you want to stay in product marketing, or you want to come over here and help out on the digital side.
So now that you've exposed them and you start to generate that interest, how do you develop people into digital marketers?
So there's the nice part about digital marketing is there's a ton of resources out there, from vendors to third-party organizations, and there's a ton of free and low-cost content. I think that the baseline is one I require of almost all the teams that I interact with, is to go out and get certified in Google Analytics, and ultimately probably Google Ads as well, but Google Analytics. And if you're using Adobe or a different one, get certified in that platform. But even if you're not going to use the tool, you'll be able to understand after you go through with some basic courses online and get that certification. You'll understand the terminology and what's being used to measure the success of this. There's also some pretty comprehensive digital marketing assets out there. SEMrush or SEMrush does one. HubSpot has another one on HubSpot Academy. Google has one that actually is targeted at Europe, but you can pick up in here, and we'll share it separately, but it's learndigital.withgoogle.com. And it's called their Digital Garage. And you can actually go through an online certification and all sorts of things. And each one of these programs can measure people, they test you, and you deliver and say, I've completed it. There's also paid courses available. And then as you move down the journey, there's specialized ones, right? Facebook has some opportunities to learn, and LinkedIn and Moz from the old SEO Moz company, Moz.com. Has a program as well. Small investment, huge payback, and certification capability. Take people, run them through the course, and have them come back and do a project for you, right? If we talked about taking that finance person, have them go through the Google Analytics program, then say, great, now use Google Analytics and tell me what my data says. And you can quickly uncover whether that person has an orientation toward providing the information that you need or not. If they do, bring them on. If not, maybe leave them in finance and just touch them once in a while and continue to nurture them.
Giving people opportunities to train and learn also results in more buy-in. They have a greater understanding of the work that's being done and of the terminology being used. and they're going to come and be able to participate in discussions that you're having in digital marketing in a new and better way, and I think we have more confidence as a part of the process. So I love, certainly one of our values at Brilliance is learning. Like I think there's just always so much more to learn in general, but especially in digital. And to your point, Ted, there are so many resources out there, many that are free, some that are paid as well, but just so many opportunities.
Yeah, it's important, and I think your point about educating the rest of the organization as part of any kind of digital transformation effort. The more you educate other people about how this all works, the more they really start to understand and can understand your decision points. But you also start to create evangelists for what you're trying to create inside the organization.
Yeah.
This shouldn't be a silo, right? This needs to be a farm where you're communicating all of this out to everybody.
I just think it's a great reminder of the fact that I think right now organizations are all looking at how they can do more with their existing team. And to Ted's point, like this is a way of providing some new opportunities to people that they potentially could get really excited about, could give a new energy to your organization. So hopefully it's an invitation to consider like what ways you can leverage your existing team. So thanks, Ted, for joining us.
You're welcome. Thank you, Lori. Thank you, Jared. And I think the point that I would emphasize is that there's nothing more rewarding as a manager than a manager of people than to watch people develop and to see them success and have their success influence the success of the organization. It's a much more fulfilling experience than just chasing a number. So if you can develop people while you're chasing a number, is a really nice combination, and can be rewarding not only for them but for you as well.
Ted, thank you so much for taking time to go through this content with us. This was excellent. Can you share a little bit about how you can help organizations with this process?
Sure, absolutely. So I'm working with a few firms today, and really it's going through this journey, right? Starting with, do you have the resources? Do you have the internal talent? Do you have the analytics set up to measure what you're doing? Putting that into place and then identifying using analytics, where can we do short-term improvements as we build a strategy for the long term? So I'd be happy to discuss with anyone who's visiting this content to just kind of have a discussion with them about what we can do to help them out.
Great. And is there a good way to get in contact with you?
So LinkedIn's a great one, right? Ted Fay. I think I'm the only /Ted Fay on there. And then have a website. We'll also have a website to share with folks. We'll get it out to you, link out to you.
Perfect. Excellent. Well, again, thank you, Ted, for taking time to meet with us today. We really appreciate it and enjoyed the session as a whole. It was wonderful.
So thank you again, Jared, Lori, and to everybody out there. Stay safe, and we'll see you somewhere out there in the digital world.
Thank you, everyone.